Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Power Lunch Live show. Today is a special episode because we have 5 guests. I don't know how that happened, but we do. So you are in luck because we have 25% more guests than usual, which means 25% more power than usual. I think that's how it works. Anyway, let's meet our guests because no time to listen to me talk. You want to listen to them. So first off, we have Wayne Pratt. Wayne, tell us about yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Wayne Pratt. I'm a speaker, author, and life coach, and I wrote a book called 31 Days. I'm happy to explain my first time publishing secrets, if any, and my goal is to have people make more money and have more fun.
Fantastic. I like money and fun. Next up is Mark.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Carr. I am the Vice President of Sales and Leadership Development at Chiral, and we are a skincare company. And so I'm the guy that can make you money and make you look good doing it. So.
Nice. But I already look good. Well, I guess for everyone else. Good for them. Speaking of people who look good, Jackie Lappin.
Hey, great to be here, guys. So Michael invited me to because I like to get leaders on stages. I help them get on stages faster, easier, and with less effort and less money so they can actually be getting directly to their clients so they can make more money. So my company is Speakertunity, and we are the speaker and leader resource company.
Fantastic. I like having so quick and efficient. Next is Pan.
Hi there. Glad to be here. Thank you so much. And people hire me to ignite life-serving communication. Mostly I help people who lack confidence or courage to speak up and stand out. So I reveal people's personal power to them and the freedom of expression to stay connected with themselves and others. Bottom line, transforming habits of the past, replace them with the passion of the present.
Very nice. And last but not least, Deb Porter.
Hello, my name is Deb Porter, and I'm the owner of Hold Hearing Out Life Drama. We are a confidential listening service that is less than a therapist, different from a therapist, but outside the circle of family, friends, or coworkers. We quite simply listen. So if you need someone to just hear you, that's what we do.
Very good. Well, we have a great lineup of folks here. So we're going to kick it off with Jackie telling us a bit about an upcoming program that is launching very soon from Speakertunity. So Jackie, tell us a bit about Conference Connections.
So if your desire is to get on conference and event stages because you want to reach bigger audiences, you want to have more impact, then we have created something called Conference Connections. Speakertunity Conference Connections is aggregating all the conferences and the events in the speaking world in one place so that you don't have to wander all over the place or hope and pray that they show up on your desk. You're going to be able to go in and find out which ones are pay, which ones offer speak to sell or pay to play, which ones are live, virtual, or hybrid. We've got 20 different categories, 44 subcategories, so that you can find the ones directly for you and then download an Excel file with those and then submit the calls for speakers forms that we've included and also the contact information so that you can get on stages faster and easier. And what's really exciting about Conference Connections is this only costs you $47 a month. And it is a base program as Speakertunity members only, which is a private membership group for people who want to have more visibility on stages. And we will include you in a Speakertunity speaker showcase so that meeting planners can find you. And we will also have a resource collective of experts that can help you up-level any aspect of your speaking business that will enable you to be more effective, to reach more people, and to monetize your speaking in a more effective way. So come on over and investigate Speakertunity speaker conferences at the link that Michael has included here, and we would love to be of service.
And Jackie, it sounds like a lot of work to go to all these people and send out all these speaker applications. What if I don't have time to send out all these applications?
Funny you should ask that, Michael. Thank you very much. So we have a strategic partner called Book For You Virtual Assistants that with Conference Connections or any of our other resources, our regional speaker lead directories, our niche speaker lead directories, our podcast directories, our TEDx directories, our some virtual summit directories, you can retain Book For You virtual assistants to do the outreach for you. And with particularly with Conference Connections, they can fill in all those forms and those calls for speaker forms, and they can also submit you to those that are simply asking you to submit your information. So Book For You virtual assistants is an easy way to take all the burden off of yourself once we've sourced those information for you and turned it over to you.
Yeah, I'm excited about that part of it because I'm probably going to be hiring some of your VAs. Because I am learning that you should do the things you're good at and hire other people to do the rest. So.
Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing and thank you for coming on. And from there, that is going to take us to our next topic leader. Speaking of communicating, Pan, can you tell us about communicating to connect? You only done mute because I muted you because the dog was barking. I can mute you. I can't unmute you. So
Okay, all
I
right.
only have half the power.
I put the dogs outside, so hopefully
Excellent.
that will take care of that. I'm babysitting 2 dogs while a friend of mine is away. So here's what happened with me back in 2001. At the insistence of a friend of mine, I finally, after the 3rd year in a row, went to meet this guy that she thought was so powerful. And his name was Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, and he's the creator of nonviolent communication. I just knew right away, like in 5 minutes, that he had the best tool for peace I'd ever seen. And growing up in a military family, being in Germany when the missiles went up for the Cuban Missile Crisis, this was pretty personal. The next thing I realized in talking to him is that the way that I spoke didn't represent my spiritual beliefs at all. So I jumped in with used my technology skills to build registration platforms for people and all this kind of IT stuff, and actually worked as the IT guy for the Center for Nonviolent Communication. So what's nonviolent communication? It's a very simple process to understand. It's complicated to do because in order to do it, you have to stop doing things that we have been doing for 8,000 to 10,000 years. Analyzing, judging, criticizing, evaluating, punishing, rewarding, all these things that we're taught from the very beginning of our school life that create actual disconnection. So, okay, what do we do? So 4 simple things. First, we make an observation. That guy was a jerk. This is not an observation. That guy started talking while I was still talking to my friends. That's an observation. Second, we talk about the emotions that we have, not how you made me feel. Nobody can make you feel anything. What's going on in your body? Where is it in your body? What is it? And what it is, your emotions are a guidepost to what it is about life that you value, what's important to you that makes you feel happy and contented when you have it, and frustrated and discontented when you don't have it. Now, we call these things needs, troubling words, because women don't want to be needy and men don't want to be weak. So I also call them values. They're universal. They're not connected to a person, place, or things. So besides food, water, and shelter, they include being heard, being seen, belonging, contributing. Rosenberg identified these areas that are universal and that everyone has. So when we talk about our emotions, they're universal. We talk about our needs, they're universal. And then we put the legs on this creature with request. And people often say in my training, so at last I get to ask for what I want. Yeah, not quite. No. But what we do is we create a level of connection that supports the request of an action that we're going to ask for. And we have certain criteria for those things that are basically designed to make sure that the receiver of the request actually knows what we want and how they will know and how I will know if that request is completed. So 4 simple steps, amazingly profound changes in life and relationship. I work with businesses to create really effective teams I work with my favorite course is Language for Lovers, coming right up at the end of July. And basically, I speak with people who speak, which is kind of hard to cause a net niche. But I have noticed that a good 70% of the people that come to my courses and that excel in them are women. So that's what I do. And there you go. Oh, God. I also have my bathroom being remodeled, so I'm going to mute.
Oh,
when I'm not
goodness.
talking.
Okay. Well, but it's great. I'm glad to hear those are power tools, because I misheard that as something else. I just pictured someone with a gigantic nose, like. So, thank you for that moment of levity. But no, I love the concept we're talking about in the like getting in touch with your response to things as opposed to your immediate judgment on them. And the bit of the briefing I forgot to give, because I really should like write down what my briefing is for my guests. Someday I'll do that. I don't know. I'm only 7 months in. Anyway, is that think of this like we're at lunch. Don't stand on ceremony. Don't wait for me to call on you. If you have something to say, I mean, don't talk over people. That's rude. But if you have something to say, just jump right in. Share your opinion. It's much more interesting to hear people having lively engagement than to hear some dead air where it's like. So if anyone has opinions, feel free to share. And then as it tapers off, that's when we go on to the next topic. So if anyone wants to share any thoughts on nonviolent communication as I think about what he said, go ahead, jump in. Who's got something?
I really loved that you found somebody that like dovetails. I couldn't believe that when I saw you sent out the email saying he was going to be here today, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at what Pan does. It's so perfect because it's just like the opposite of what I'm doing, and that's just so beautiful. Exactly right. So we need to connect after, Pan. I hope we can. Yeah,
My pleasure. That'd be great. I'd greatly enjoy that.
That's why when I invite you all, it's through the same calendar invite, so you all have each other's contact information.
That's very thoughtful.
In a fantasy world, you talk to each other before the show. I don't think it's ever happened in however many shows I've done, so don't feel bad. No one else has ever done it either. But in theory, you could be like, oh, let's talk about what we're going to talk about on the show. I used to run a sci-fi convention, and the guests were supposed to talk to each other for the panels beforehand. Never happened. Never happened. Except I thought other people did it, so I'm like, why am I so disorganized? No one else was doing it either. Everyone's winging it. So it's cool. But yeah, Deb, I can't claim credit. It's the universe that does that for me. I am simply a conduit to put who the universe wants on the show.
Fabulous service, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And actually, Deb, you want to take it and talk a little bit about listening skills? It seems to be the yin to Pan's yang.
Sure. So Psychology Today talks about the benefits of having someone hear you, right? It relieves emotional pain. It allows someone to gain perspective. We've known this for thousands of years. We all know the benefit of being able to go to a family member or a friend and really unload. But what happens when those people are in the same situation that you are, and you don't feel like you can? I saw this all of the time when I was working as a funeral arranger, and I really wanted to create a solution for it. I wanted to have someone to be able to hear that's not as much as therapy, that can be costly. And sometimes people don't want to spend all of the time, effort, and energy, but really do need somebody to hear them. So we know that when our amygdala is activated and we've got that fight or flight emotion going on, we can deactivate it with the prefrontal cortex when we use our language and really use our words and have somebody hear that and hold that, hence hold, hearing out life drama. So that's what I'm about. I believe in making a difference in the world, and I really want to help people so that they can unload what they need to and move on. And I just think it just beautifully dovetails what Pan's talking about, because people need to have the ability to speak absolutely 100%. You have to know, but once you know what you need to say, you need somebody to hear you as well.
Absolutely. Deb, if I could just respond to that, it is so incredibly important. It's one of the needs that comes up with most of the people that I talk to, because most of us, we're not really listening when someone's talking. We're planning what we're going to say next. Mm-hmm. And what you said about the neurology of being heard, lines up with not only my science that I have discovered and believe in, but just what happens with people. One time I had a person come in to spend time with me. She was told I was a great therapist. So I had to tell her that and sign a form that I wasn't a therapist. But this person really knew what she wanted. She knew what her emotions were. So we sat down after she signed the form, and she talked about her feelings and her needs. And then that led to another set of feelings and needs, and then to another one. So at the end of 90 minutes, well, 85 minutes, because of that 5 minutes with the introduction, I hadn't said a word. And she stood up and she said, "Pan, you're the wisest man I've ever spoken to." And I totally got it, because the greatest gift we can give to another person, according to Walter Wink, is our presence, our full undivided attention. And I myself can't figure anything out unless I can talk to somebody about it. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to offer, Deb.
I think that's so great. I want to chime in. I have a little thing here on my laptop, and it says wait, and it says, why am I talking? Right? As a coach, I feel like my job is well done if I talk less than they do. In fact, if I'm not training, right, if I'm not putting on my corporate trainer hat, I should be talking less and listening more. And I just want to point out, so as the guy who's the vice president of sales, right, maybe a little bit more traditional, and I'll just say that for myself. I have to tell you that my grandfather always had a saying. He said, find something that you love and the money will come. And I just want to celebrate the fact that every single one of you have seemed to find something that you love. And quite frankly, I've never heard of any of it. I've never heard of any one of the jobs that you all just talked about. I didn't know those existed, right? I know that there's some cuddling groups in New York City and Manhattan. You can go and get somebody to cuddle you, but I didn't know you could have somebody listen to you. And I understand the importance of it. As somebody who partakes in therapy and understands the importance of it, I know how important listening is. But again, I'm sitting here going, man, I kind of thought, because I'm not vice president of sales at Macy's anymore, I'm vice president of sales at a skincare company that's network marketing, which is different, right? People are like, wait, what are you the VP of? But you all have got me beat because I heard of the jobs you do, but they're so important. And I just think it's so, again, to what my grandpa said, find something you love, the money will come. Hopefully you all are making money. But I just wanted to call that out because I was like, wait, that's a job? Like that's a great job, actually. Like, and every single one of you smile when you talk, right? I try to observe. And you all seem very happy when you talk about what you do. And so that's really important. So. Says the VP of sales.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Actually, I don't think I even mentioned what I do in my intro, but yeah, there was definitely a moment this year as my business has become profitable. What people hire me to make introductions for them. So I do basically done for you networking. And there's a moment where I'm like, this is my job. Like I pay my mortgage by talking to a lot of people and then introducing some of them to other people who pay me to do it. This is a job. So whenever I'm like having a bad day or things are weird, I'm like, Normal left the barn a couple of years ago. So like, okay, this is what I do now. Neat. I like it. It's fun. I help people. They're willing to pay for it. There's definitely something outside of the regular. I don't even know what inside the box looks like because I've never had a. We don't have boxes anymore. Yeah, my wife has a more ordinary job. So I hear about it. It doesn't make me think I want it. I don't feel like I'm missing out. So. Anyone else want to share anything on that topic? And if not, then it's time to hear what Mark does.
So I am the vice president of sales and leadership development for a new skincare company. And we are a network marketing social selling company. I actually came from 31 Gifts, which is kind of the darling of the direct selling world, and decided to take a leap into a startup, only because I think that, we have something, as they say, that nobody else does. And we actually are in telehealth as well. And so, for example, right now I have a neighbor who is looking for a dermatologist, and you can't get in until February here where I live. But we actually have that service through our company. And the best part is we have consultants. And so we have a field of sales consultants who make a commission on all of that. And so when people ask me what I do lead sales teams, and I do craft, training and lead groups, and I go out and I speak and, those sort of things. But really at the end of the day, as cheesy as it sounds, I get to help people realize a dream. And that's what I've bought into. That's what I'm hook, line, and sinker into. And so every single day, if I move somebody forward, I've done a good job. And the best part is the owners of the company that I'm with appreciate that as well. And so, but we're a network marketing company. And so that's what we do.
All right. So I imagine there's some myth about network marketing you'd like to dispel. And so since you're on the big screen,
sure,
dispel a myth or two.
You know what? I think the first one, that the one that everybody says, oh my God, it's a pyramid scheme. Well, if you really look at what a pyramid scheme is, the government is a pyramid scheme. And that's not a political statement. That's just by nature. That's what it is. And I'll share with you that, anything that offers, products or a service automatically makes it not a pyramid scheme. And so, it's pyramid schemes are based on recruiting and all of that sort of thing. We pay our consultants on goods sold. We don't pay them on however many people they recruit. And so that's really for most, right? The Direct Selling Association has an ethics committee that makes sure that everybody is in a line. And so that's really not a thing. That sort of, I think, comes from a place of people just don't know, right? Or they had a bad experience, but I think that's sort of life. The next one is nobody makes money. I will share with you that people make money. And what I love about network marketing is it truly does pay you dollar for dollar for the time and effort you put into it without limit. That's the part. And so if you put 3 hours worth of work in a week, it's going to pay you for 3 hours worth of work. And I guarantee you it's going to be more per hour than what you're doing at a daytime job, typically, right? And then I think the other one is, and this is the one I love because I'm at a startup company, right? Is that you have to get in at the ground floor, right? You have to get in when they start in order to make any money. Well, that's not true because the person who probably the top 20% of the people who were big income earners at my previous job that I was there for 12 years are people who just started, right? And so it wasn't the people who were here 18 years ago, right? They're sort of just maintaining. And so it really is, it's an equal opportunity sort of employer, right? It's a volunteer workforce, but it really does pay for the time and effort you put into it. And then, you get to decide how much money you make, as little or as much. And, I tell people if you treat it as a hobby, it'll pay you as a hobby, but there's some good paying hobbies, right? But if you treat it as a business, then it's going to pay you as a business. But I think that there are, again, just a lot of myths out there. They really aren't true. And again, I just think it comes from they don't have exposure because quite frankly, I live it every single day and I see people pay off credit cards and pay off their cars. I've seen it save their marriage. I mean, I've seen, what it can do. And so, yeah, I'm a big believer.
I think if people are used to jobs, like punch a clock kind of job, you work 40 hours, you get $800, $20 an hour. And so they come in and punch a clock for a company like yours, and they don't make any money. They're like, well, I was there. I was working that much time. You're like, well, yeah, but what were you doing during that time? They're not used to being paid for their work. They're used to being paid for their time. And,
yes.
Yeah. But the great thing about
people work at their business, they don't work in their business. And there's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, going down the Facebook rabbit hole and posting things on social. And, right now I'm teaching a little bit of a course to the consultants about post and pray. And like post and pray really is a terrible strategy for business. It's sort of that old adage, wish in one hand and in the other, right? But post and pray is not a strategy. And so it doesn't matter how many people, like how much time you spent creating this great graphic and this great content. It means nothing if you haven't built any relationships and you haven't truly networked. Like you haven't gone to your local chamber and said, hi, my name's Mark. and I'm an independent consultant with Cairo, I'd love to give you my card. I mean, without those steps, it's nothing.
Yep.
And again, I have some people creating some really pretty graphics and they're making no money. And so until I can shift their mindset to just what you said, Mike, I mean, it's not going to happen. So
yeah.
I love what you're saying, Mark, about it all being about connection.
Mark, I have a question.
Yeah, and get paid to build relationships. I literally get paid to build relationships. I get on planes and I fly. And right now, because we're a new company, and so I'm buying people lots of martinis and appetizers, right? We're getting to know people. But I'll share with you that the majority of the people that I'm meeting are either signing up with us or buying from us because I'm building relationships with them. And it's, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's cheesy. It's a cheesy saying, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth.
Mark, you were talking about networking, and I was wondering, do you know a guy who knows a guy?
I do now.
Yeah, I've met him. He's pretty cool.
Wayne, I wish you'd be more serious.
Okay.
No, we don't. No, definitely don't be more serious. That's not what we do.
No.
But yeah, I love what you said about like don't just post and pray. Actually, in my book, The Guy Who Knows a Guy, any opportunity to put on the screen, I have an example of a generic network marketing social media post, which I haven't seen as many of recently, possibly because I'm not in those circles anymore, and possibly because the training's better. But I think some companies used to be teaching people like make posts on the internet regularly. And so they're doing these like, hey, I'm having a makeup party. You all should come. I'm having a virtual makeup party. You guys should come. People are like, what's a virtual make? Why would I go to that? Doesn't make any. Why would I do that? So I'm really glad to hear you're teaching people, relationships, and because that's for, as you mentioned, all of us have come up with some market niche that if you're like, my job sucks, every job I can get sucks, what should I do? I don't have, I don't know nonviolent communication. I don't know, how to build a speaker directory. I don't know how to be a life coach. But you can find a product you like, whether it is a vitamin product or a skin product. There's hundreds of network marketing companies. You find one you like, you plug in, you teach you how to do it, you put in the work, you follow the system, and if you're decent at it, and it's not going to give you an hourly paycheck, but it's a business in a box. Cheaper to get into than any other business you're getting into, with probably a higher, not guaranteed, but higher success rate.
Well, it is, and it's one of those great equalizers, right? Because we have people, and I'll even think of, some of the very top at some of these direct selling companies, the big ones, and they don't have formal education, right? They don't have any formal training, and some of them have never even worked in an office. And so we talk about 9 to 5; they've never worked 9 to 5, but they're making, $500,000 a year, and so it's. And, the one I know makes $1.6 million last year and is on track to make even more this year. It's a $35 billion industry. And I always tell people, like when people say, nobody's doing that anymore, I want to curse and say, bull, you know what? Because they are. Somebody is buying $35 billion worth of stuff from consultants, from stay-at-home moms, from teachers with summer gigs. And, it's all those sort of things. And so it's the numbers. I love data when data can bust myths, right? When somebody says something, I'm like, yeah, really? Let me show you. And so, yeah, but it really is building relationships, because people who do, again, create great content and they're like, I put it out and nothing happened. I'm like, you know what? That's because you're really not nice. You're really just not great to talk to. And so that is a different conversation, because I have tough conversations built through building relationships. And I always tell people I can move people once they trust and believe in me. And it's not fluffy. It's not roses and unicorns and all that. Sometimes it's like, you know what? You kind of come off a certain way. And so it really is building relationships allows me to lead from the front, tens of thousands of people. So,
yeah. I had a conversation recently. I can't remember what the company was, but I did become a customer. They do vitamin patches, like the stick-on vitamin patches. And she was introduced me to a networking call, and she didn't try to pitch me. I asked her what she did. She told me. I asked her some more questions. I was curious. She answered those questions. I answered some more questions, asked some more questions. She answered them. And I was like, so what did these things cost? And she said, well, $55 a month. I said, that's about what vitamin pills cost. How would I try it out? And she said, you'd use this link. And I said, okay.
Nice.
But it was a no pitch. The same way I do my business. No pitch, no close. I don't pitch, I don't close. If I share what I do and someone appears to be a good fit and want to work with me, I will share how they can work with me. But if you have something valuable and you explain it well, you don't have to be going out on Facebook and be like, look at this. It's amazing. You need it.
Yeah.
You need to get those
like
conversations.
That. Yeah.
It is. Yes. They want to see a picture of you living the life that patch is helping you to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And when people go, oh my gosh, you just seem so vivacious and you have so much energy, you'd be like, you know what? It's a great patch. Right? Like that's the conversation. So yeah.
Yep. All right.
I love this conversation. I'm learning so much.
Excellent. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I was explaining is I can't guarantee we're going to have 10,000 listeners. No, I can guarantee we're not going to have 10,000 viewers. But there will be people on the show that you get to connect with. So at the very least, we have a 6-person one-to-one to one-to-one to, I don't know how many times I said that. But yeah, we have connections on the show, and then the audience gets to watch it. And then if you're like, oh, you got to hear what Mark said. Here, let me give you the link. He was like half an hour in, jump ahead to like 30 minutes in. So then it's there and it's recorded and it's out in the world and someone might come across it. So there's other ways to do a show than 10,000 viewers, which is good because I don't have 10,000 viewers. But I've got you guys. Speaking of you guys, Wayne is going to talk to us about writing a book.
Cool. Thank you. First, I want to shout out to Debbie. I thought about being a funeral home director. I had a great slogan. We put the FUN back in funeral.
Right on.
I'm a life coach and a bit of a humorist. But I thought, what would the audience be encouraged by? First, my shout out to Mark and Jackie. You guys are in the dream business. And as a life coach, it's all about getting people to unpackage that and not apologize. So my humble gratitude to you both. 31 days. I was taking a course for my mother on how to publish a book, and with Jack Canfield, and it was on publishing, and it came about module 6 that the blank page killed wannabe authors. That they stare at that page for 2 weeks, then they shut the binder and a dream dies. And he said something that was magic and changed my life. He says, if you have a blog, you have a book. I stopped a moment and said it again. If you have a blog, you have a book. And I had written 150 blogs because I was told that's what you had to do. Thank you, Mark. And I created the best 31, and I put them in a book. And publishing is so different than it was when Mike and I were kids. That was a long time ago. Where you used to have to either be, a famous sci-fi writer or fill an entire garage with 10,000 books you weren't going to sell. And now you actually, some people actually sell the book and then write the book. Jackie can tell you more about that. But I just want to encourage people. Not everyone is a best-selling author, but everyone can be an author. If you have something to say, the craft and the discipline of saying it is going to make you feel better. And I say that this here is my 5x7 business card. I'm in a university town in Canada, and even the janitors up here have Bachelor of Arts. So I needed something to put myself out, and I came up with a book that, frankly, is a fun read. And I wanted to encourage your listeners, Michael, and hopefully the other people on the audience. And that's my story.
Cool.
Nice. I can completely concur with that about the book does not have to be a bestseller. This book has sold, I think it may have broken 100 since I wrote it in 2017.
Yep, but it made you an author.
But it's also made me, I estimate, about $45,000.
Yes.
Well, and from my standpoint, a book is so great because it helps you get on more stages.
Yes.
People won't pay attention to you nearly as much as if you happen to have a book. And
Yeah, I've heard that a book is the new business card.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And it also is your key to getting on podcasts and radio shows.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the book you can, if you want to get someone's attention, you mail them a copy of your book, which costs, I think, about $10 with postage. And now they've got your book. At some point, they're probably going to read it because it's sitting there. Because I know a bunch of people sent me books, and yet I actually had 2 people who sent me their books around the same time, and I confused which one was which. So I got the book. I was getting an email from some person, but then I got a book from someone else. And I thought this person was their assistant, and then the name was on the book, and I'm like, oh, it's 2 different people, because they're both talking about I want to send you my book, or I want to send you the book. But yeah, there's someone who I connect with, and I connect with hundreds of people, probably thousands in the course of a year, and forget most of them, quite frankly. But I remember Darcy Luoma because I have her book sitting on a table because she mailed it to me. And at some point, I'm going to reach out to her and probably invite her on the show because, I've got her book sitting on a table because she mailed it to me. But a book is a very powerful. I mean, you can't hand out like a business card because it's about $3.50. So that adds up. But, if you hand it out just to people you're looking to connect with, it'd be pretty solid.
Linda and I have been talking about that. So I have a business partner named Linda, and she and I have been discussing and spitballing some ideas. We did that early on, and we're like, it'd be fun to write this, but we also want to make sure that we get the listening part off the ground. So now you all are like putting some fire on that. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll do that. Wayne, I really appreciated your insights there because that's really helpful. That blank page for me.
But with something like what you do, the blank page could be the product. Yeah. So instead of a book that talks about listening, you could have a workbook, a journal that listens. So like writing prompts and you could publish a book that has 100 words in it and 40 pages.
It's really interesting. There's this woman on TikTok that I found, and what she does is she's published a journal. It's if found, please read, and she leaves them. She leaves them all over the place. And she's traveled the world. She met her husband doing this. I've never met her, but she's just a fascinating person on TikTok that I love to follow. And maybe I need to reach out to her and say, hey, you want to collab? Because that could be a potential. Now that you say that, it's got me going. I'm like, she probably already has a great ideas about how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I was thinking about, do I have a book? And while you guys were talking, I was remembering this Foundations course book that I started out with 5 pages, and then it became 15, and now it's 30. And I want to start adding more. Maybe I'm on my way to a book.
The Kindle Direct Publishing minimum is 24 pages.
24 pages.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, and with the model with the new Kindle model, I travel from place to place and glean little nuggets of information that I then take and sound really smart. So I'm not an expert on this. I'm about to share probably everything I know. But the new Kindle model, from what I'm hearing, is based on pages read because it's basically like a streaming service model.
Yeah.
So it's similar to how Spotify pays, a quarter of a cent every time someone plays a song. It pays per page read. So the longer a book is, the more it tends to make because the more pages are going to get read from it. But if you're selling books, like people are buying the paper thing, in that case, it can be better to have 4 30-page books than one 120-page book, because then they'll buy one book. And, that one book might be $5. I was like, I'll try a book for $5. And they're like, oh, this is good. What else you got? And they'll buy the second one. And they'll buy the third one. And they'll buy the fourth one.
That's encouraging to hear, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Bruce Jones, he wrote a book, which I usually have by my desk, but I gave it to my wife to read so she can hopefully help me make money off my books. But it basically goes through how to repurpose all the content in the book, using the book content as blog content that generates SEO that then advertises the book, because people like having the thing. Yeah. So if you're like, this is chapter 7 from my book, Now you can have it yourself for $14. People are like, oh, I'll pay $14 to have the actual thing in my hands.
And LinkedIn is now serving as another way to repurpose your blog as well.
Mhm.
And especially they're looking for content that is article based.
Speaking of LinkedIn, that makes my brain jump. I just learned about Alignable this week.
Awesome.
I really love Alignable as opposed to LinkedIn because it seems to allow the conversations to flow without paying for a premium. And I was so excited to find it. One of the things, I'm an introvert. I really prefer listening to speaking. And somebody referred me to the Alignable because there's a networking for introverts on a group on there. And so I was like, that's for me. that's for me. And so I got on Alignable and I was like, wow, this is a really amazing place, and there's recommendations back and forth, and I'd love to connect with all of you on there if you're on, and if you're not and you are interested, check it out. It's pretty amazing. I really love it.
Oh, thanks for that. I was writing down Alignable to check out.
I'll check in, Deb.
Yeah, thanks.
I've got a shout out for Deb and actually for Pan. I want, let's see if you can see this. I have my book on the spine, and I was in a bookstore trying to get some books sold, and this person said, well, if it doesn't have your name on the spine, you really don't have a book. You just have a booklet. So you were talking, and I thought, wow, are you out of it? But anyway, the joke is you're talking about blank content. I went back, and my book was too thin to have a spine with my name on it. I went back, and I wrote 25, what did you think of the chapter, pages. And so there's one for every chapter. It gave me 87 pages, and boom, I got my spine. I'm now an author.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so when I revised my book, it was 76 pages, and I had to get to supposedly I had to get to 100 to get thick enough to put my name on the spine.
Yep.
And the problem is you have to get it just perfectly aligned, otherwise it's going to reject it. And it doesn't just it's not like you upload it and it says, nope, you upload it and it puts it in for review. And then it comes back out about an hour to 2 hours later. And then you have to adjust it and upload it again. And after 4 attempts, I said, I don't care. I'm not putting this in a bookstore. So the revised edition of that book is 100 pages with some bonus content. Still doesn't have my name on the spine, so I guess I'm not really an author. But that's
You're
okay.
You're an author to me, Michael. You're an author to me.
Yeah, I don't make my living as an author. But Deb, to what you were saying, I actually was on Alignable. I didn't find it to be too effective, but I think I wasn't necessarily meeting the people I was looking for there. Mm-hmm. But I just happen to have this handy. There's another site called Be Connected, which if you go through guywhoknowsaguy.com/BK, then you come in connected to me. So it looks like kind of what LinkedIn looked like when it was first getting started. It has some cool features for being able to discover people and make connections. And the people on it are mostly early adopters, which means they're mostly people who are in the know and have been introduced to the founders. So when I look through there, I'm like, oh, wow, these are some players on this site. So it's one of those ways to get in the party with. Jackie, are you one of the players on the site?
Well, I'm on the site.
Yep. I think I was introduced to you by the same person who introduced me to it in the first place.
Interesting.
So, but Jackie Lappin's a bit of a player, in the good way, not like a player, but like a player, the good kind of player. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Let me get my leg out of my mouth here. So they have one of the tools they're trying to bring is kind of a YouTube-like functionality for video shows. So with the higher level memberships, they can host video shows, but there's a lot of video content on there, and there's some communities built around it. You can build groups and some other stuff like that. So definitely do check it out. I joined it, and I'm sort of waiting for it to percolate because mostly I am so busy. Meeting more people is not a thing I need to do. I mean, I do on an ongoing basis, but if someone's like, hey, go here, you'll meet lots of people. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds
scary. No, just kidding. That's what it is for me.
I love meeting people, and then I have to put them on the calendar.
Yeah.
Although I have actually something I just came up with this morning was a solution, because up until yesterday, if you went to my calendar, it told you my next open time was August 5th. Was the next time you could book a one-to-one with me. And I said, this is a problem, because there's some people I'd really like to book one-to-ones with some urgency, but I get a lot of introductions. I don't want to be like, well, I don't know you. So, you know, I don't want to be that guy's like, why should I meet with you? Because I'm pretty special. I don't want to be that guy. So I came up with the concept of a connection bonanza. Because a lot of the times I meet someone, I can make a couple of introductions. As soon as I find out what they do, I know some people who'd be valuable for them to know. I don't need to meet with them 30 minutes. I can meet with them for 6 minutes, say, you seem pretty cool. Somebody might be willing to have a conversation with you, could be valuable. Worst case, conversation can go well, whatever. So the connection bonanza is up to 10 people come in during the course of an hour. They share what they're doing. And I say, oh, you should meet this person and this person. Who's next? And of course, they all meet each other. Mm-hmm. Kind of like what I did with this podcast. Putting people together, networking together. So, and look, I just happen to have a lower third for that as well. So, so I created that. I also have an open virtual coffee. So for people whose calendars are over full with the people they're meeting, which I guess isn't a common problem, but if that is a challenge, feel free to steal my ideas, because they seem to be working pretty well. And if it's not your challenge, go to that link and you can meet more people and fill your calendar.
Hey, I'm really curious to hear from Deb about what she does to help people learn how to listen.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been teaching is CORE, and it stands for you have to start from a place of your own center and be calm. Mm-hmm. And you have to know the outcome of what you want the conversation to be. So when you're going into a conversation, what is it that you want out of it? So like if you're talking with your spouse and okay, where we're going for dinner, everybody knows the conversation's about, hey, we're going to figure out if we're going for pizza or tacos. That's the goal or the outcome that we want for that. Mm-hmm. But it gets trickier if we're talking about something that's more emotionally charged. And so being clear ahead of time really can help, really can help. So know Absolutely. The outcome. Yeah. And then the R is the relation, right? So we want to make sure that we're relating, that we're validating, that we're really hearing. And then the E is empathize. So CORE, really simple, short, sweet, to the point, something that I can talk about in places like this, but is a valuable tool if people really apply that. Stay calm, know what you want the outcome to be, relate and empathize, validate. That's the key.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I like to get people to be calm, cool, and collected. So they're kind of on the path there.
Yeah.
I really love what you said about know the outcome. Mm-hmm. So that if you, in my point of view, I want to have an outcome in mind, but I want to hold it lightly. Mm-hmm. And what helps me is to say, okay, what need of mine is up that wants me to have this conversation? What universal value am I looking to enhance and to create? And then that actually helps me maintain calmness, mm-hmm. connectivity, and it's a dance. So what's suitable for me might not be suitable for another person, and that's really the fun part. How would it be for you if? And okay, well then what about that? It's mm-hmm. just getting there. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Pan, I just want to say that as I make an observation about you, I feel like I'm just calm just being in your presence. You're a pretty chill guy, I think. I think I'm a little bit more high strung, but I think I just think you're chill. And so I think people could just pay to be around you for an hour and they'd probably leave just chill.
Mark, it's a little embarrassing, but it happens. It really does.
I hear you speak. You calm me down. Yeah.
My second wife fell in love with me while she was taking a shower at a friend's house.
Oh.
And she heard my voice. No, she wasn't taking a shower. She was alone. And she fell in love with me because of my voice.
Mm-hmm.
But you should have met me before I met Marshall. People were not so happy.
I'm married, man. I'm married already. But
no. Okay,
Sorry.
I grew up not being from around here. I lived in 19 different places before I was 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so what I learned was what was really cool in one culture was totally not cool in another. So I became a listener
Sounds like
and an
America.
observer. Yeah. And I'm really glad that I had that experience because it really allowed me to empathize with people. It allows me not to believe what I believe, which I think is a critical skill to have, because once you believe what you believe, then you're kind of closed to other things. But we grow constantly. We're never static. And so these are some of the things that I learned from that experience. And I love people. Just love them.
Yeah, and when I was listening to Deb talk about that, the core concept, I was thinking about, Mark, the training you do in sales. I imagine some of that is along those same lines about, sometimes salespeople, they get too wrapped up in it and they're too like, oh my God, I got to make a sale. But if they can stay calm and simply, help people along the way to find that, as opposed to try to push them there, then they're going to find a much better outcome.
Yep. Chase the relationship. Don't chase the sale, because if you nurture the relationship, then the sales will come. And because it's because you think about, right, then, and this is the example we use all the time, but I think it's just the best one. When somebody goes to a restaurant and they tell you, oh my God, it was the most amazing. If it's a random person on the street, you're like, I don't care what you think. I don't know you. But if it's your best friend, right, or somebody that you sit next to at work every day, in a job, and they're like, oh my God, you got to try this. You're like, then I'm going to go try it, right? It's the same thing with sales. It's just building relationships. And then when you say, you know what, I've been using this skincare and my sunspots are fading, they really are. And people are like, oh, I believe you. Where do I buy? Okay, well, go find a consultant and on the website, and you can buy. But it's because they trust and believe in us and build relationships. And Pan, I absolutely believe you when you say, I love people. I believe
It's true.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah. So when you were talking, Mark, I was thinking that you were a consultative salesperson, and then now you call your people consultants. I was a salesperson for many, 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 many years. I sold life insurance and real estate and securities, and I found that what worked for me was to talk to people, find out what they want, and if I had something that could help them, I would share it with them. Whereas other people were like, oh, we got this thing. It's going to solve every problem that you have. You won't believe how good this is, and all of that kind of stuff. And it wasn't me.
Yep.
It's not me either.
I just want to thank Jackie for coming. She had to duck out for a meeting on that launch we were talking about, which if you look at the bottom of the screen scrolling by, in case you missed it, the Conference Connections link is down there. But that's what I'd say. Carry on. In case anyone knows, did the format of the screen just change? What happened?
Yeah.
But it's like lunch. Sometimes people have to leave early. So you never know what's going to happen. That's what makes it so exciting. The excitement of live television. But to Mark's point about, you build that relationship. I know that, so I have lived in both scarcity and abundance in my time. I've spent more months in scarcity than abundance. And so when you're broke, both mentally and in your wallet, you feel like everyone else is broke. So when you're trying to sell there, you're like, $50. Oh, I don't know if anyone can come with $50, man. That's really expensive. Whereas once you're in that abundance space, your business is going, you're making money. You're like, oh, it's only $50. Okay, yeah, I'll try that out for 6 months. That's with those vitamin patches. I'm like, $55? Sure, yeah, I'll give that a shot for a month and see what happens. So when you build that relationship and you have a product, which is, I don't know what the is it chiral? Is that how it's pronounced?
Chiral. Yeah.
Chiral. Okay. As in handedness.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like what you said. Go ahead. Deb.
Yeah, that's really profound. I'm going to have to spend some time percolating on that. That mindset of abundance is something I've been working on a great deal. Been listening to some Abraham Hicks. I'm sure you're familiar. But the concept of that worth and approaching sales from that direction. One of the Hold is built on 3 pillars. So we've got the organic people can book, but we also have the B2B aspect. So people that are business owners can book time for their employees. And then we also have the pay it forward option for people. And I believe that there are people who have known a kind listener in their lives and will want to share that abundance forward. And so that piece is there. But that B2B piece I'm really working on right now in the business, and I'm really focusing on what sales is like. So this conversation has been so good for me. Thank you so much, Mark and Michael, and all of you really for pushing me forward. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. One thing that really helped with my thinking about money was actually is a conversation I had when I was driving Lyft. So I was giving a ride to one of our local exotic entertainment professionals, and I learned a number of interesting things. First fun fact, they're not employees of the clubs. They're independent contractors, which means if the clubs don't treat them well, they're out that night and they'll go find another place because there's there are more stages needing dancers than dancers needing stages. So there's your first fun fact. But the other thing, she was telling me about like the economics of it. It was a 45-minute trip. It was great. So she went like the whole business model. So I'm listening to a business coach. And I'm like, and effectively, it's sort of like how you might, as a speaker, get on a stage to give your talk, and then you want to entice them to, get into your program or whatever. Same model there, except to the private dances or VIP room. And the VIP room is like 20, 30 minutes, and it's like $500. And I was thinking, I cannot imagine anything that happens in 20. Like, I can't imagine, frankly, anything that's happening in those 20 minutes that's necessarily worth $500 unless you have $500 to just throw away. So for coaches out there who are like, oh, I don't know if I can charge $200 for my services, is an hour talking to you with all your coaching training and all your transformational skills and everything else going to do more or less for your client than 20 minutes in the VIP room with, I think her name was Africa. So, because that's $500 and people spend $500 for that. And if they'll spend $500 for that, if you offer the same level of value, you should be able to charge the same amount of money. And as an Uber and Lyft driver, I know how many people go there and I know how many of them spend the money. So like, there's a lot of people spending this money. And suddenly I realized, there's a huge audience. There's a lot of people who have this money to spend. They say they're like, oh, I can't spend $500 on coaching. I can't spend $100 on this. I can't spend $20 on a book. But look at where they are spending their money. And you realize they have it. You just have to create the value proposition for why they're going to give it to you. But the money's there.
Do you remember the pet rock? Remember when that was a thing? Yeah. So there's a business coach that I know. His name's Larry, and he gives the example of the pet rock about, you don't have to worry about whether your service, because there'll be somebody that buys a pet rock. You're golden, Deb. You're golden.
Yep. That's totally true. And another thing to think about is the per capita GDP in the United States is about $67,000 a year. So you take all the money that everyone makes collectively, divide it by the number of people, it's $67,000 a year. If you divide it by number of workers, it's actually like $105,000, $108,000 a year, because depending on the way you're looking at this math. But so as a family of 3, is me, my wife, and my daughter, collectively, our share of the American economy is about $170,000 a year, which means if we're like making less than $170,000 a year, someone else has our money. It's out there. So if everyone you know is making $20,000 a year, you think, oh, everyone's broke. No one can buy anything. But if everyone you know is making $20,000 a year, then a bunch of your money's somewhere else. You just need to find who has your money and give them a good reason to give it to you. And that's how you make it. And once you can wrap your head around that idea, it's a question of what do I have that will convince someone who has money to give me their money voluntarily. I'm not saying like go to rich people's houses and steal them, and burglarize the place. I'm saying like there's someone with $1 million. The example I give, if you're an artist, a good artist, because a lot of people think they're good artists, but if you're actually a good artist, there's some millionaire out there who would pay you $50,000 a year to make art. They're like, I can't make art. I don't have time to make art, but I like art. I can give you $50,000 a year. I knew a guy, he ran a financial services company, a bunch of financial advisors. He paid out of his pocket for the $55,000 a year salary for an executive director for a nonprofit he wanted to exist. He created it. He hired the executive director. And he said to me, when I was asking about this, he's like, so instead of buying another car this year that I don't need, I pay her salary. There's people who have that kind of money. You just have to come up with value that they're willing to give it to you for. So perhaps you're something to think about, but it appears to be the top of the hour once again. So it is time to wrap up and then let you all go. But this has been fun as always.
Thank you.
So I will, let's switch the screen back to this format. Oh, look, Wayne seems to be first. So Wayne, give us your parting thoughts.
I really, really enjoyed with this power lunch. Michael, I want you to find a way to put appetizers in Zoom. If you check out that website, there's actually, you can see my book and you can actually play with it in Amazon and see if it grabs you. So please, I'd love to hear what you have to think. And it was a privilege to be here. And I hope several of us will connect again.
Very good. And next is Mark.
So you know what? I was sitting here and trying to figure out, I was like, oh no, what am I going to say? And you know what? I think because one of the things that I love to do is inspire people. And I often do that through cheesy phrases. And I always tell people I know them all. But one of my favorites is, and I'm just going to leave it with you all today, is whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And it's literally a mantra for my life. And I wake up every day and go, oh God, can I do that? Well, if you believe you can't, you can't. But if I believe I can, then I most certainly can. And so thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to meet all of you. And this really just brightened my day. So thank you for having me on.
Fantastic. I'm glad. And next is Deb.
Yeah, like I already said, this conversation's been amazing for me. A lot of things to move forward. It was great meeting each of you, and thank you for what you brought to the conversation. I'm really grateful. If you ever need a listener, you know where I'm at, and you're enough just how you are.
And Pan.
Oh, I really had fun. Like I say, I just love meeting people. It was very exciting. And I have a plan after we're finished. I've got a lineable up, and I'm going to go see if I can find some of those people who have money to pay for my gifts. It was great to talk to you guys.
So it's been great to meet you all. Speaking of meet, I'm going to put my website that I made this morning back up where people can get on my open virtual coffee and or connection bonanza. So thank you all for being on here. So this show, for those of you who are watching at home or watching the replay, who got all the way to the end, every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time here on YouTube and Facebook and in the Morning Motivation Facebook group. It's also on my LinkedIn and my personal Facebook page. And look, we got a reaction. Thanks, Rosa, for the love. But anyone go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/meet and join one of those group meeting things. And we can take it from there, but it's always great to have people on the show. And let me put one more link on here. Where'd it go? Here it is. There's that link, which is now scrolling across the bottom, guywhoknowsaguy.com/power lunch. So if you watch this and you say, I think I'm qualified to be on that panel, I've got things to share that are interesting and erudite, go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/power lunch and you can apply. And if you're on the screen, you can do the same thing. I'd say it's the amusement park model, which is once you've gotten off the ride, you may get back in line and ride again. So, it's been great talking to you. Stick around for a second. We're about to go off the air, but let me stick around for some final comments.